What's going on, guys? Today we are going to create a CRUD application in C#.NET using Visual Studio 2022. CRUD application means create, read, update, and delete. Creating means inserting into our database. Reading means selecting from the database. Updating means updating existing content of database, and deleting means deleting from the database. These are the most commonly used and most basic operation against any database. So let's do it. For that, you need to have a couple of applications installed on your system. First one is obviously Visual Studio 2022, and second one is SQL Server Management Studio and SQL Server. If you don't know how to install Visual Studio and SQL Server, I already created those videos. The link is in the description section. You can watch that. After installing those applications, let's do it. Open up Visual Studio 2022 first, and then click on create new project, and then Windows Form application. Here you can search also Windows Form application and select the language C#, and then click next and give your application name. Good application, click next and then click create. It will take some time to create your project because Visual Studio is a bulky IDE. It takes some time to render. After rendering, let's expand this form a little bit and select that form and right click, go to properties and change the text to CRUD application. You can also change the background color of this form from the properties, that is the back color properties. Here you can see like this, but I'm going to use the default one. And we need a couple of controls, so drag and drop. If you don't see this toolbox, go to views and then select that toolbox. You will see that after that. And we need a couple of button here, like 4 or 5 button here. Let's drag and drop. And then we need labels for ID, email, username, and then name, and finally password. And we need one numeric up down for ID and other for, and drag and drop text box for other controls. So now arrange is all that so that it looks nice. Now select all the controls and go to properties, and you can see there font properties. Change the font to like 14. There you go. Now select all the buttons, and you can also increase in that way so that you don't have to do it individually. And select the control label, and we are going to change the text here. Here goes ID, and here goes email, and here goes username. You can change according to your requirements. I am using these. You can create your CRUD application according to your requirements, whatever your lib controls are. Username and then password, and then not password, first email, and then here goes name, not username. Here goes name, and then username, and here goes finally password. Now select the button and change the text to here goes home, and the second one is create, and third one is reading, only read, and this one is update, and finally this one is delete. Now you can also change the button color and go to properties, and there you can see a back color. Here I'm going to use the red one for this, and the you can also change that text color, and that one is for color properties, and I'm going to use white one, and update also back color I'm going to use like this, and this to this. Read I'm going to use like green one, and also change the for color to and creating and finally update. Sorry, finally home, not update. I'm just concentrated here, and font color is all that good, but I want to change the this create color to something else. This one. Now our form looks a little bit cool now. Now select all these buttons and arrange so that it is in the center, and there you go. After finishing this, select your text box and change the name to txt email, and here goes txt name, and here goes txt user, and finally here goes txt pass. You can also change the these to use system character so that your password will be hidden. By default this is false, that to true. Now after finishing, we need one more control share, that is a data grid view. We want to display data, so drag and drop here, and these two all not enabling, and here little bit, and just like that. And using programming we are going to manage this. We finished our design. Now let's create a database. So open up SQL Server, Management Studio, and then click connect. Now right click over database, click on new database, and here we are going to create a database. Give the database name crude app. Expand that database directory. Right click over recently created database. Sorry, not right click, again expand, and right click over table, create new table, and here we are going to create a table. First is id, that is integer, and allow not null to false, and then second one is email, varchar, allow null to false, and then email name varchar, and then the username varchar, and then password varchar. Select all that, allow all to false, and right click over id and set it to primary key, and scroll, and there you can see the column properties. Scroll there, scroll down, and there you can see identity specification, to set that to true so that it will automatically increment, and control S and give the table name crude app, save it. Now go back to Visual Studio and go to Server Explorer. If you don't see that Server Explorer, go to View, and then there you can see Server Explorer, and right click over data connection, add connection, and refresh that server name. It will display a server name. Now click the drop down, select and click that Trust Server Certificate, and select a database, that is crude app. Click OK. Now select that data connection and go to properties and copy that connection string. We need that one. Now what we are going to do is, first of all, double click that create button. We are going to create data. That means we are going to insert data into our database. So double click that. And by default, what we are going to do is, first of all, when this application run, let's see it. It looks like this, but we don't want to look our application like this. So for that, what you can do is, here in the form initialization constructor, what you can do is data grid view1 dot set visible to false. Now run your application and say, there you go. Now our data grid view is hidden by default when you run your application. Now let's write some code for inserting data. So here what we are going to do is, we are going to validate this form first of all, because user can simply click that create button and empty value will be saved in database. So to avoid that, what you can do is, here we are going to validate that. So for that, I'm going to define on bool variable, bool is any empty is equal to false by default, and I'm going to check for each loop, for each control in this dot controls, and here inside this I'm going to check if control is text box, then what we are going to do is, if control dot text dot length is equal to 0, if that means if the text box are empty, then what we are going to do is, we are going to set this is any variable to true, and then break. So this check if the text box is empty, we are going to set this to true, and here after for each loop, if is any, here if the text box is empty, what we are going to do is, we are going to display a message box dot show please fill the required form, and let me close this, and then here goes information, and here goes message box button dot OK, and then message box icon dot information. There you go. If the text box is empty, we are going to display this message. Then otherwise, if the text box is not empty, what we are going to do is, else we are going to insert data into a database. So for that, we need a couple of SQL classes. Now here we need a SQL connection class. So for that, we need to install that first. Now go to view and then solution explorer. What is that? There you go. Right click over it and manage NuGet package for solution and browse, and here search system.sql, and then select that system.data.sql client and select and click that install. Apply, I accept, and go back to .cs and scroll up, and before the namespace here using system.data.sql client, we need to import that and scroll down, and here SQL connection con is equal to new SQL connection, and simply paste that recently created connection string there, and remove that space. It might create some problem later. And here we are going to write one SQL query string insert query is equal to insert into generally SQL standard SQL keywords are written in uppercase. Insert into our table name, that is crude app. Insert into table, and then we have to give a column name because we are going to install into some specific column only. Email, name, username, and password, not the ID. ID is automatically incremented. So go back here, email, and then name, and then username, and then password. Simply close this, and then values values, and we are going to use parameter substitution because of the obvious reason, that is the danger of SQL injection from others. So here email, add name, add user name, add password, and SQL command cmd is equal to new SQL command, and here goes our insert query, and then our connection. We need to substitute our value, and those are these. So we need to pass the value to those variables, and finally those variables value will be saved in this database column. So here cmd dot parameters dot add with value, and here goes add email, and the value is txt email dot text, and you can simply copy this and paste. Here goes name, here goes username, and here goes password, and here goes txt name dot text, here goes txt user dot text, and here goes txt pass dot text. Now we need to execute this. Int count is equal to cmd dot execute non-query, and if count is greater than 0, that means if the database row is affected by our query, then what we are going to do is we are going to display again message box dot show, and here created successfully, and we are going to give the information and message box button dot okay, and then message box icon dot information. There you go. Else you can also write the else part. Else what you can do is simply save display the message box but with the different message here in creation. Save that. Now run your application. Here we got some error and should a semicolon, and again run your application, and ID is automatically incremented. We have to enter that. Here was run course at gmail.com, run course, username is Ron, password is Ron. Let's click that create button, and here we get error, and then we forget one thing, that is we need to open our connection. So connection dot open, and here after this connection dot close. Simply save that, and again run your application, and here run course at run course mail at gmail.com, run course. And it also display error in connect creation. That means we got error in our logic. Here we have to write else, and inside that else block you have to display this message box, not right after the if blocks. Again insert some data, random at gmail.com, random name, random. Click create, message should be successfully, and there you go. Now let's check the value is inserted in our database or not. So for that, go to database, expand that table, and right click over our table and select top 1000 row, and there you can see two values inserted in our database. Now go back to VS Code, Visual Studio, not VS Code, and again go back to design, and we are going to read data from database. So double click that read button, it will create a listening event on that button, and here what we are going to do is we are going to display data in data grid view. So for that we have to we should hide all those text box. So for that what you can do is here again for each we can use the for each loop. For each control in this dot controls and here if control is text box, then what we are going to do is control dot visible is equal to false. We are going to hide all those text box, and else if control is numeric up down, what we are going to do is we are going to hide this also. Control dot visible is equal to false, and again else if control is label, then we are going to hide this label also. Control dot visible is equal to false, otherwise else control dot visible to true. You can also write like this: txt email dot visible is equal to false, but it is not that good because you are repeating the same code again and again, and this is a pretty nice for each loop. And now we are going to hide all those labels, text box, and the numeric up down. After hiding all those, what we are going to do is we are going to read the data from database. So here again SQL connection, con is equal to new SQL connection, and here goes our connection string. So go back, go to properties, and simply copy that connection string and paste there. Remove that space so it may cause error later. And the process is same. String read query is equal to select all means asterisk, select all from our table name, that is crude app. Then what we are going to do is I need one SQL data adapter. SQL data adapter SDA is equal to new SQL data adapter, and here goes our read query and then the connection. And we need a SQL command builder. CMD is equal to new SQL command builder, and here goes our SDA. And then we need a data table. Data table, the DT is equal to new data table, and then SDA dot fill. We are going to fill the data table with SDA value, and SDA is we pass a read query here, and this is the select from our table. And here what we are going to do is what is the name of this control? I think this is data grid view. Data grid view 1 dot data source is equal to, and then DT. Save that. Now run your application again and click that read, and our data is displayed. Pretty nice. All those controls are hidden. That's label, text box, and our value is displayed here from database. Here this extra row is showing here. What you can do is go to on properties and select that, and then go to properties, and here what you can do is and select that row error visible to false, and again run your application and click that read, and the extra row is gone now. Now this is pretty nice. Now what we can do is you can expand this a little bit so that you don't have to scroll there. Expand it a little bit. There you go. Now put this in center. Click that read. There you go. And now it looks pretty nice. Now go back. In the home button, what we are going to do is when the user click that home button, we are going to hide this data grid view. So here again for each loop, for each control in this dot controls, and we are going to check if control is data grid view, then what we are going to do is control dot visible to false, and here is some typo, and else we are going to display control dot visible to true. Save that, again run it, and click that read. We display our data and click that home. We have to hide that, this one, data grid view. So there you go. Now we insert data, we read data. Now let's update and delete. So go back to Visual Studio and go to your form, and here double click that update, and the process is same. We need a SQL connection. Con is equal to new SQL connection, and here goes our connection string. Simply copy that and close this and paste here. and we need a connection dot open so that we can do a operation, and we need a query again, string update query is equal to update and our table name, that is crude app table name, and then set, and then our columns name, that is we are going to update email is equal to with email, and then name column with name, and then username column with add username, and finally password column with add password. And we need a condition again where id is equal to add id. We need that parenthesis? No, we simply need semicolon here. Now SQL command cmd is equal to new SQL command. Here goes update query and then the connection, and cmd dot parameters dot add with value, parameter substitution, and here goes email, and here goes txt email dot text, and simply copy this. 1 2 3 4 5, and here goes a name, here goes username, here goes password, and here goes id. Here goes txt name, here goes txt user, here goes txt pass, and here goes the numeric numeric updown one dot value. Process is same, cmd dot int count is equal to cmd dot execute non-query, and connection dot close, and we are going to check if count is greater than 0, then we are going to display a message box dot show here updated, and then CCESSFL successfully, and this is the information, and message box button dot ok, and then message box icon dot information. And you can also write the else part in that way, but I'm not going to write that. Simply save that. Now again run your application. Now let's see what we have got in our database. We got 2. Now I'm going to update that 2. So here id is 2, and random new at gmail.com, new random 1 2 3. Click that update. Message should display updated successfully. Now let's check whether this value is updated or not, because previously random@gmail.com random name random. Now let's refresh F5, and there you go, this value is updated. Now go back, stop that, and we got to write for the delete query. So double click that delete button, and here the process is again same. Now let's simply copy this, edit this, paste that, and we need a string delete query is equal to, here goes delete from our table name, that is crude app, and we need a condition where id is equal to 8 id, and we need a SQL command class cmd is equal to new SQL command, and here goes delete delete query, and then the connection, and we are going to write cmd dot parameters dot add with value, and here goes at the rate id, and here goes numeric up down dot value. Now the process is same. int count is equal to, and then cmd dot execute non-query, and this return exactly the number of row affected that you can see and by definition. And if the number of row affected by this query is greater than 0, then we are going to display the message box, same message box. So simply you can copy that and paste over there, and here deleted successfully. Now simply run it. Now first of all read how many data are there. There are 2 data. Now go to home. Now I want to delete 2. Click that, delete it successfully. Now again read how many data. There is only 1 data. So that's all. This is a pretty long tutorials, and this is the most common and most basic operation that anyone do against any database. So that's all. If you like this video, share this video with your friends so that they can know about these tutorials and they can create their own CRUD operation in C#.NET using Visual Studio 2022, and give thumbs up, which really motivates us to create such programming tutorials, and stay connected with us because we have a target of reaching 100k subscribers this year, so help us with that. And once again, thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye. I will see you in the next tutorials.